Hi, I'm Krista Diamond, and I'm the author of Close Relationships with Strangers, out this June, which is about a Las Vegas wildlife photographer who moves to Los Angeles to become a paparazzo, and in the process loses his relationships, his morals, and eventually his tether to reality. And this is my beauty routine. I start by prepping my skin with these facial radiance pads. Writing and beauty are both creative rituals to me, and for that reason they're often intertwined. When I'm preparing for an important moment of writing, like starting a new novel, which I just started, I like to feel like I'm getting ready for a night out. I want to feel glamorous and a little bit indulgent. So swanning around in a silk robe and having some champagne is key. I then use this mad hippie vitamin C serum. I like to think of skincare as a treat rather than as a punishment for the inevitability of aging. I used to do retinols and retinoids. I used to have a prescription for tretinoin, but I got tired of spending money trying to delay the passage of time. Just because I've been bombarded with ads for my entire life telling me that it's my personal responsibility to stay young and beautiful forever doesn't mean I have to buy a bunch of shit. Now I'm using the Glow Recipe Plum Plump Hyaluronic Acid. I've been using this for a while. Honestly, I really love it because the bottle is pretty and I love aesthetics if you can't tell. It's also really gentle, it's hydrating. I live in Las Vegas. When you live in the desert, you need as much moisture as you can get. Speaking of which, I was late to the Willita skin food party, but when I discovered it at a health food store in LA when I was there, writing Close Relationships with Strangers, I really just fell in love with the way it just melts into your skin. It is really satisfying. And putting it on now brings back memories of the summers that I spent writing my novel in LA, and it's just a really good energy to bring into this routine and bring into my writing. Last in the skin prep routine is the Say Beauty Glowy Super Gel. I love this brand. I love everything they make. This is a repeat purchase for me. It's shimmery. It smells really good. It's kind of whimsical, and I like that. I think beauty should be fun and creative. Much like writing, I think that if you don't love doing it, if you're not getting pleasure from it, why bother? A little champagne. Now I'm going to start doing my makeup. I always start with brows first. And I just want to say that in addition to rejecting all the anti-aging bullshit, I also reject the idea that I'm supposed to buy different products and learn different techniques based on the current beauty standards, which are always changing. And that's why I'm using the Anastasia Brow Wiz pencil instead of doing these fluffy, natural brows, brow gel that everybody's doing now. No clean girl aesthetic for me. I'm not doing no makeup. I'm a millennial. I was raised on beauty YouTube videos. And back then we were wearing full glam to the grocery store and we were loving it. I like to be glamorous for no reason. I live in Las Vegas, so it really just feels right. I've always kind of liked to be glamorous for no reason, and when I moved here 10 years ago, I was like, yes, this feels right to me. So now I'm going to move on to putting on a little Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. I've been buying this for a while. I don't really know if it actually does anything, but I use it. It's another very millennial product. If you buy a tube of this, it lasts like a decade, so you're kind of making that commitment, and I don't like to waste things, so if I buy something, I'm going to use it forever. I'm trying to be more conscious of waste, which is why I tend to repurchase things I like, and why I will use things. Speaking of things I repurchase, the Tartelette In Bloom palette is something I've bought at least 4 times. I have hit pan on many of these, as they used to say on beauty YouTube. It's just a really good, warm-toned brown palette. I don't know that I'm good at eyeshadow. It's something that I have always tried to get better at. And I think the reason why I like that challenge is because I heard once that if you are doing any kind of art, you should try something that is kind of the opposite. So as a writer, doing something that kind of feels more like painting or drawing is really challenging, and it's also really satisfying. It's really physical. I think that it gives you this mind-body connection that benefits your writing. I like the tactile nature. I Like that, for example, understanding the relationship between where your hand is on the brush, how tight you're holding it really changes the way the makeup applies. And I don't write by hand ever. I don't like it. I have really terrible penmanship. So I think doing something physical, like doing my makeup before I write, really kind of grounds me. I also hike a lot. That's another thing that really grounds me. When I was revising close relationships with strangers, I was really lucky to have some time in a cabin near Death Valley. And every morning I would go hiking in the desert, and just being outside and doing something physical before writing was really special to me. Walking around by myself in nature, I started to actually hear Ben, who is the narrator of my novel's voice. And it just became this really spiritual practice. I don't know, maybe I have been spending too much time in LA, but in all seriousness, I really have come to see writing as this really spiritual practice. And I think spiritual practices are really ritualistic. So that is why makeup feels like this routine and this ritual to me. And writing also feels like this routine and this ritual to me. I'm very particular about the conditions of my writing. I'm kind of a messy person in my normal life, but my writing spaces tend to be very particular. I need certain candles lit. I need crystals. Yeah, I'm a crystal person. I need something like I'm wearing now that's comfortable, but also makes me feel kind of glamorous. It really has to be particular for it to work for me. The eyeshadow always takes me longer than every other part of the makeup routine. And once it's over, I'm kind of like, now I'm in the home stretch because I never really know how it's going to go. After I do my eyeshadow, I like to go in with the NYX Epic Ink Liquid Eyeliner. This is an affordable drugstore brand. I don't use a lot of drugstore brands, but this is one that I use. I've never found a liquid eyeliner that I really like. This one is fine, but the edge is like fraying, and you can see it's kind of like dripping on me, so don't love that. I do a winged eyeliner every day, pretty much, and I've never done it on camera before, so this was very high stakes for me. I never know how it's gonna go. It's kind of like writing, if I might make that metaphor. Some days it takes like 10 seconds, the eyeliner, not the writing, and it comes out perfectly. Other days it takes a while. I kind of have to like pull on my face. Again, the eyeliner, not the writing. I'm losing the metaphor here. And you're not supposed to pull on your face like I'm doing, but sometimes I do. And some days it kind of starts to look good, and then the wing becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it kind of becomes a whole mess. Most days it comes out fine. Like one of the wings will look perfect and the other one will look okay. I'll be very aware that they're not really perfectly matched, even if other people aren't. But I do like doing them. I think it just is one of those things that is the kind of tactile challenge that I like. And there is something classic and glamorous about a winged eyeliner. I like a very kind of classic look. I think that things like winged eyeliner don't really go out of style. I've been using this Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara forever. Remember that era when makeup brands all had these aggressively sexual names like that NARS Orgasm Blush, which is a beautiful shade, but God, we really had this era when every makeup brand just had to be insanely sexual for no reason in particular. There are definitely cheaper and probably better alternatives to this Too Faced Better Than Sex, but I just always grab it whenever I'm at Sephora and need mascara. I'm just used to it. I think it's pretty good. But yeah, as far as kind of drugstore versus luxury brands, I don't really think that mascara is one of those things that you need to go luxury on, but yeah, here I go, wasting my money anyway. Do we think that the concept of mascara being better than sex is empowering or disempowering to women? Discuss. One thing that I do usually go drugstore on is eyelashes. I wear fake eyelashes pretty much every day, which some people think is crazy. I've bought some really nice ones, but I always kind of go with the Ardell lashes. I'm using the 420 right now. They come in these big packs. Yeah, pretty affordable. The Ardell 420s are a more natural lash. I kind of typically go for more of a faux mink glam lash, but today I've got the more natural ones, which are light. They're easy to put on. Much like the winged eyeliner, I've never done this on camera before, so very high stakes. Been thinking a lot about how my neighborhood drugstore here in Las Vegas keeps these eyelashes locked up, which is just so evil. And I feel like as the gap between wealthy people and poor people gets wider, I am noticing more and more beauty products locked up. Like, I guess beauty products are only for a certain class of people and the rest of us don't deserve them. And I think that beauty is luxury, but luxury should be for everyone. When I was getting my MFA and I was not being paid a living wage, I was struggling. I was often selling my plasma to make ends meet, which is really common in grad school. But you better believe I was wearing fake eyelashes when I did it. I don't think that you should have to sacrifice pleasure and luxury. I don't think that. I'm using the Duo eyelash glue. I think it's the only eyelash glue that they make. I used to be intimidated by putting fake eyelashes on. And here I go with another writing metaphor. But I think putting eyelashes on is kind of like writing a novel. It seems really daunting, but it's actually pretty easy when you get into the rhythm of doing it every day. And if you feel like you're bad at it, it's probably because you're not doing it that often. I'm not saying you're not doing it enough. Certainly you don't have to wear fake eyelashes every day. You don't have to write every day. But one day I just decided to really learn how to put on fake eyelashes. So I started doing it every day. And after a while, it really became this muscle memory thing. And that is really how writing a novel feels too. When I wrote my first novel, which might never see the light of day, the novel that I sold is actually the second novel I've written. But when I wrote the first one, I was really like, how do you write a novel? And then I started doing it, and it became to feel really comfortable. And the second novel, Close Relationships with Strangers, another shameless plug, please pre-order it, that felt really comfortable. And I just started writing another novel, and I feel like way more confident on that one too. So it's a really nice feeling. And now I'm going to start with my face. I use the Beauty Blender. You know the Beauty Blender. This pink sponge costs $20. It's a lot of money to spend on a sponge, but I'm just going to be real. People are always talking about dupes. This is the House concealer. House. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Lady Gaga makes it. Lady Gaga, if you could please advise on the pronunciation, that would be appreciated. I still do the triangle thing that all these beauty YouTube videos taught us millennials to do, and yeah, that's muscle memory for me as well. Anyway, there are dupes of this sponge that cost like $5, and people say that they're just as good. It's really my opinion that they are not just as good. So even though the Beauty Blender costs $20 for a sponge, and that's ridiculous, there's really nothing that is as good as this. So I think it's worth the investment. I have one of those soaps that they sell for it that you can use to clean it. So if you're good about cleaning it regularly, which sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not, you can make it last for a while. Now I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I like a full coverage foundation. Much like my rejection of all kind of clean beauty, no makeup aesthetics, I don't really care that people are not really wearing full coverage foundations anymore. I'm still doing it. This is one that I like. I was using a foundation from this brand Lawless, but it really bugged me that the side of the bottle said, forget the filler. I was like, okay, I guess I will. And I went back to this Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. yeah, I don't really like being bombarded with this idea that things like filler and Botox should be on my mind. I mean, yeah, sometimes they are. I'm not going to pretend that the experience of beauty isn't completely divorced from patriarchal standards, from the male gaze, from capitalism, because it is. That's inextricable. But I don't want to feel like shit, so I want to enjoy it. I am doing the Milk Makeup Sculpting Stick. I do some very, very, very light contouring. I used to try to contour my nose and my jawline, but ultimately it's just easier to accept the shape of my nose and jawline. Yeah, I kind of just go in a little bit under my cheekbones, with this contour, which is kind of more of a cool toned brown, is what they say to look for in a contour. And then I love blush. This is the Fenty Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Blush. Again, very sexual, but, I support you, Rihanna. A lot of celebrity brands. We'll come back to that. I love a cream blush. This one is kind of melting because, again, I'm in Las Vegas. It is March. It's going to be 90 degrees next week. Climate change is real. I've been thinking a lot about the responsibility I have as a writer who lives in one of the fastest warming cities in the country. And I often encounter people, and by people I mean men, who don't take me seriously as a writer because I write a lot about pop culture. I kind of like a very over-the-top aesthetic, but I think that we can write fiction and we can write about pop culture and write about serious things. Using some setting powder now, by the way. This is Laura Mercier. My novel, Close Relationships with Strangers, isn't just about a paparazzi photographer chasing celebrities. It's about parasocial relationships, masculinity, the commodification of the image, and these are the issues of our time. And as a feminist, I'm drawn to studying and writing about masculinity because masculinity and femininity influence each other. Doing a little bronzer now. Anyway, when we think of men's rights, we think of a bunch of incels because that's what they are now. But I think it's really interesting that it started as this movement in the 1970s that worked in tandem with feminism based on the idea that the patriarchy hurts both men and women. And based on the idea that it forces women into the domestic sphere and it forces men out of it, isolates us from each other. So writing this novel from the point of view of a man, a white man who's 27 when the novel starts, 31 when it ends. He's privileged and entitled in a lot of ways, but he's also very lonely. He's very broken. He's very confused about what it means to be a man. This is another product with a ridiculous name, by the way, the Tarte Hotel Heiress Bronzer. I like that they came kind of close to name dropping Paris Hilton, and then they were like, let's not get sued. Another celebrity makeup brand that I use is Rare Beauty. This is the Rare Beauty Positive Light Silky Touch Powder Highlighter that I'm about to use. It's made by Selena Gomez. Although I think when we say that, we picture the celebrity like literally in a factory making it. I doubt that, but I apologize, Selena Gomez, if that is what you are doing. But she probably literally didn't make it. There's so many celebrity branded beauty products now, and I'm just realizing that since I wrote this novel, it's very much about celebrity. I do wonder if this Rare Beauty highlighter and the House Labs concealer and the Fenty blush and all these other celebrity products, I wonder if this might be a tax write-off. But if you're the IRS and you're watching this, I'm just kidding. God, I love going in on the inner corners with this highlighter. I feel like once we all learned that, we kind of just went crazy. I love doing that. It just feels like a little treat. I wear red lipstick every day. This is the Rouge Dior lipstick in shade 999. It's my current favorite. And I bought this exact tube shortly after I sold my novel, and I really associate it with that feeling of celebration. It's almost gone. And I'm going to have to buy a new tube I'm trying to time it for when the book comes out. That way I associate it with that. I just saw that Dior is doing a thing where you can get the actual like tube replaced, like the lipstick part, and keep that outer tube, which is cool. Trying to do a little less waste there. This packaging is a lot of waste. But yeah, I like this one. Very smooth, kind of not really doing as much matte anymore. Moved away from the liquid lipsticks because, again, Vegas, very, very dry. I use this Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Spray. I love it. It is the best. The secret to this is to use way, 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 way more than you think you need. Yes. And then the last step, which is essential before writing. Probably, if I'm writing, this is the most important beauty routine step, is scent. This is Byredo Mojave Ghost. Not putting this one on today, just showing you perfumes that are a part of my writing routine. Prada Paradox is another one. Both Byredo Mojave Ghost and Prada Paradox were scents that I wore when I was writing Close Relationships with Strangers. The new novel I just started writing, I am wearing this scent Nightclubbing by Celine a lot. I'm not going to say too much about the novel I just started writing, but I will say that the narrator is a 22-year-old woman in Las Vegas. So I think this scent is very fitting, and I hope that it's going to bring me closer to this narrator. And that's all. Cheers. Thank you for joining me.